From Manila to the globe, this is World Newsfeed, bringing you the biggest stories shaping our times. Good morning, I'm Raine Musñgi. Let's dive into the headlines making a global impact. Israel confirmed Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar, the architect of the October 7 attack on Israel last year, has been killed in Gaza. There's been no comment or official comment from Hamas, but sources in the group said the indications suggested that Sinwar had been killed during an Israeli operation in the area of Tal El Sultan in southern Gaza. His death represents a major boost to the Israeli military after a string of high-profile assassinations of prominent leaders of its enemies in recent months. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the death of Sinwar offered the chance of peace in the Middle East, but warned that the war in Gaza was not over and Israel would continue until its hostages were returned. Palestinians in Khan Yunis also said the killing of Hamas leader Sinwar would not spell the end of the war. They said that the death represents a serious situation for their leadership and that it was a great loss for the Palestinian people. Meanwhile, the parents of Israeli-American hostage Omer Nutra, who is being held by Hamas in Gaza, called on the Israeli government to do whatever is needed to secure a deal for the release of those still captive following the killing of Sinwar. Families of Israeli hostages said that while the killing of Sinwar was a significant achievement, it would not be complete while hostages are still in Gaza.
Hostage by Hamas for the past 377. This is a critical, time-sensitive development as it relates to the hostages. Their lives are in great danger now, more than ever. We're calling on the Israeli government and the U.S. administration to act swiftly and do whatever is needed to reach a deal with the captors.
We are at an inflection point where the goals set for the war with Gaza have been achieved, all but the release of the hostages. Sinwar, who was described as a major obstacle to a deal, is no longer alive. It is critical that all attention is focused now on achieving the goal of the deal, which will secure the release of our son Omer and the rest of the hostages. We are fully aware of few missed opportunities to reach a deal throughout the year. Omer is in the hands of ISIS-Hamas terrorists. This time, the opportunity must be seized. All hostages must be released in one deal immediately.
Well, U.S. Vice President Kamala Harris called Israel's killing of Hamas leader Yahya Sinwar a step of progress towards eliminating the threat Hamas poses to Israel. The Democratic presidential candidate told reporters in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Thursday, she hopes that the families of the victims of Hamas feel a sense and measure of relief.
Yahya Sinwar, the leader. Today, Israel confirmed that Yahya Sinwar, the leader of Hamas, is dead, and justice has been served. And the United States, Israel, and the entire world are better off as a result. Sinwar was responsible for the killing of thousands of innocent people, including the victims of October 7 and hostages killed in Gaza. He had American blood on his hands. Israel has a right to defend itself, and the threat Hamas poses to Israel must be eliminated. Today, there is clear progress toward that goal. Hamas is decimated, and its leadership is eliminated. This moment gives us an opportunity to finally end the war in Gaza. And it must end such that Israel is secure, the hostages are released, the suffering in Gaza ends, and the Palestinian people can realize their right to dignity, security, freedom, and self-determination.
We're taking a breather. News from around Asia in a moment. World Newsfeed will be right back.
With God's help, I know there is nothing that cannot be achieved. We can achieve so much good with this country and get together and unify. I want to thank the Al Smith Foundation for its noble work, and I want to express my tremendous gratitude to the Catholic community. It's a great community. It's a community I've gotten along with all my life. I tell you, when I was president, I was in the Oval Office and I got a call from the Cardinal. And he said, we need help. It was during the China virus. I want to be accurate when I describe it. And he said, we need help. Our schools are in devastating shape. They needed much more than $1 billion. I won't even tell you the number, but much more than $1 billion. But I've known.
And we're showing you live video, live pictures from New York with 17 days to the U.S. election. Republican presidential nominee and former U.S. President Donald Trump is attending this year's 79th annual Alfred E. Smith Memorial Foundation dinner taking place at New York Hilton Midtown. Comedian Jeff Gaffigan is hosting this event. Both Trump and Democratic rival Kamala Harris were invited, but the Vice President is expected to continue her campaign through the Blue Wall states.
I hear you did.
Welcome back. The Hezbollah's leadership is in the middle of efforts to secure a ceasefire with Israel. A Hezbollah member of Lebanon's parliament said Thursday the group is carefully coordinating with the Speaker of Lebanon's parliament, Nabi Berri, toward a stoppage of the fighting with Israeli forces. Hassan Fadfala noted, though, the Israeli soldiers have not managed to control any villages in southern Lebanon. Israel says its ground operation has so far killed dozens of Hezbollah fighters and that its troops have seized thousands of weapons and destroyed the group's bunkers and tunnels below southern Lebanon villages. Israeli operations in Lebanon have killed at least 2,350 people over the last year. That's according to the health ministry, and more than 1.2 million people have been displaced. Around 50 Israelis, both soldiers and civilians, have been killed in the same period. According to Israel, it shows no signs of easing its military campaigns against Hezbollah in Lebanon after assassinating several of its leaders, while Hamas in Gaza. And it has vowed to punish Iran for its October 1st attack. The commander of Iran's elite revolutionary guards warned Israel against attacking the Islamic Republic in retaliation for a missile barrage as the Israeli military stepped up its offensive in Lebanon against Tehran-backed Hezbollah. He spoke at the final funeral of a general who was with Hezbollah leader Syed Hassan Nasrallah in his bunker when it was hit by Israeli bombs earlier this month and was also killed. The United States said it carried out strikes on Wednesday against 5 underground weapons storage facilities in Houthi-controlled areas of Yemen. It's a strike that used B-2 stealth bombers against the Iran-aligned group for the first time. In wording that could also be interpreted as a signal to Iran, U.S. Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin said the strike was a unique demonstration of the Pentagon's ability to strike hard-to-reach facilities. The Biden administration has been acting mostly defensively against Houthi strikes in the Red Sea, usually moving to intercept drone and missile attacks against commercial vessels and U.S. warships. Houthi fighters in Yemen have carried out nearly 100 attacks on ships crossing the Red Sea since November and say they are acting in solidarity with Palestinians in Israel's year-long war in Gaza. They have also fired on Israel, which has carried out strikes on Houthi targets in Yemen. European Union leaders gathered for a summit on Thursday to discuss support for Ukraine in its victory plan against Russian invasion, a call for a ceasefire and de-escalation of hostilities in the Middle East. Migration is also on the agenda, with Poland calling for an EU stance against Russia and Belarus using migrants as a weapon against the EU and others. Poland is urging sharper laws on sending back irregular arrivals. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is in Brussels for talks with European Union leaders and NATO defense ministers in a bid to garner support for his victory plan. The plan includes a demand for a formal, unconditional invitation to join NATO. After talks with the EU's 27 heads of state and government, Zelensky said NATO membership is the only reliable path for his country's security. The alliance has said that Ukraine will join the defensive alliance one day, but declined to commit to a timeline. The final stretch of World Newsfeed in a moment. Stay tuned. Welcome back. K-pop star J-Hope, a member of the boy band supergroup BTS, was discharged from South Korea's military on Thursday after 18 months of duty. Wearing a uniform and a black beret, J-Hope, 30 years old, was smiling as he was greeted by member Jin and around 100 cheering fans, as well as reporters, upon his release at a military base in Wonju, Gangwon Province. Hundreds of fans were waiting outside the army base to greet J-Hope in person and express their excitement to finally see the artist. J-Hope is the second member of the 7-member group to wrap up the mandatory national service that has put their music careers on hold after the oldest member, Jin, finished his service in June.
I'm really hoping to see them again together. I think that after this short time apart, they will be more close and they will bring more stories to their songs, to their lyrics. So I'm really happy because right now I'm waiting for his new works, for him to do lives and interact again with the fans. I'm also really proud because he made an amazing job in his military service. So I'm really happy and excited for what comes next.
And that's all for now. Thank you so much for joining us. Catch up with us again tomorrow at 10 when we bring you the world in 30 minutes only on World Newsfeed. Follow the Money comes next. We leave you with live pictures from Buenos Aires where fans of One Direction member Liam Payne gather outside the hotel where the singer died Wednesday. Members of the boy band Louis, Zayn, Niall, and Harry released a statement Thursday saying they are completely devastated by the news of the loss of who they call brother and that they will miss him. Keep it here on the Billionaire News channel, always on top.